there. So, you know, we don't know why that call came in at noon.
This was one of the first big shocking moments in uncovering some of the facts of what happened inside that home in Moscow, Idaho. There were 2 surviving roommates. Now, at that presser, the police chief didn't want to give out too much information, but it turns out one of the 2 did actually witness things, and one of the 2 did actually see the killer. Yet still, no call was made until noon the next day. Until noon, 8 hours later. Let me read for you from the affidavit. If you haven't heard this yet, sit down. DM. Those are the initials of one of the surviving roommates, Dylan, stated she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she said sounded like Gonzalez playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which were located on the 3rd floor. A short time later, Dylan said she heard who she thought was Gonzalez say something to the effect of, "There's someone here." Dylan stated she opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Xana's room. Dylan then said she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Dylan stated she opened her door for the 3rd time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. Dylan described the figure, 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past Dylan as she stood in, quote, frozen shock phase. Frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the back sliding glass door. Dylan locked herself in her room after seeing the male. Dylan did not state that she recognized the male, and that led investigators to believe that the murderer left the scene. Take a listen now. Here's Captain Lanier talking about now the phone call, the 911 call that was made 8 hours later.
On the morning of November 13th at 11:58 a.m., a 911 call was placed to the Whitcomb Dispatch Center reporting an unconscious person. The call originated from inside the residence and was made from the phone of one of the surviving roommates.
All right, doesn't say who made the call, so we don't know who made the call, and it's an unconscious person. That was the second head scratcher that we all had, right? Who is that? Is that one of the victims? A bloody victim you're calling unconscious? Or could it potentially be someone who passed out? We don't know. We don't know. What we do know, though, is that description from the affidavit. We put together our rendition of what the floor plan is and what may have happened here. DM, that's Dylan's room. We know that we believe the killer was up on the 3rd floor, came down those stairs next to Dylan's room, and then went into Xana's room where she is with Ethan. That's where they were murdered. And then from the affidavit, Dylan describes opening up the door a little and then seeing those bushy eyes on this figure as he walked past her and then out the sliding doors. So why not call 911? What possibly could her state of mind be in an extremely traumatic moment like this at a young age like that? We have someone who experienced something very similar. Joining me now in Santa Monica, California, a woman who found her roommate after she'd been attacked in their sorority house back in 1992. She's been speaking out in support and in defense of this surviving roommate out in Idaho. Alanna Zabel is with us. Alanna, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad that we can speak with you. Could you describe briefly, take us back in time to your experience, and then I want your take on how someone might react and tell us how you reacted. So can you explain that to us?
Sure. Yeah, my situation it is scarily similar. Two of my housemates were all in the same sorority, lived downstairs, so 3-level home. 4 of us lived on the 2nd level. My bedroom was a converted patio. It's an old Buffalo home. And then above us, there were some other students from the University of Buffalo, but they were not in our sorority. And that night, we all went out and we went to multiple places, including a Sigma Chi party, which is eerie as well. We were hammered, and my housemate who was injured went home first, and she had the keys, so she was going to let us in. This is pre-cell phone where you can text someone. So I was the last to come home that night. 2 of the 4 of us on the 2nd level did not come home that night. When I arrived, I was ringing the doorbell, kicking the door, banging the door, screaming her name. She was not responding. So my friend who had dropped me off noticed that the bathroom door was open. So I said, hey, can you boost me up? And she, interlocks her fingers and heists me up through the bathroom door, the bathroom window. And I crawl through the window, not knowing that I'm wiping off fingerprints. And the screen is in the bathtub. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. And I put the screen back in the window. There's a weird smell and some, it was in a disarray. But again, you live with 5 people. You just think somebody was messy that day. You don't think the worst. Then I went to her bedroom door. It was ajar, and I saw her foot in the down position. And I called her name, and she didn't respond. And I heard some heavy breathing. So I just assumed maybe her boyfriend was over, and that was it. I went to my room at the front of the house, and I went to sleep. I started to go to sleep. About 15 minutes later, I heard someone step into my room. So I lifted up my head, and as I turned, there was no one there. But 10 seconds after that, the front door closed. Now we know that's when he left because no one else came home until 9 o'clock the next morning. So he basically thought that my room might have been the exit because he didn't know he'd come through the window. So I went to sleep. 9 o'clock the next morning, Carrie, one of my housemates, came home, and she came multiple times to my room saying, there's this really awful smell. It smells like vomit. Did you throw up last night? And I kept saying no, and dismissed her. And she came again because the neighbors upstairs needed us to move the car. So we had to go into the bedroom of our housemate who was attacked. And that's when we found her unconscious. Now, I saw no blood. When I went in there and Carrie was trying to take her pulse and I was shaking her feet and screaming her name, and there was liquid everywhere and liquid caking her face and disarray that I don't want to describe, but no blood. So I called 911, the paramedics arrived, and when the first paramedic walked into the bedroom, stepped foot, and I was right behind him, he stepped back in shock and said, holy, look at all of this blood. And as soon as he said it, and I'm looking into the room like that, the mattress is soaked, the walls are full of blood, the whole entire room was full of blood. And that's why in so many parts that I am defensive of how the mind works in a heightened state of fight or flight in a situation like this. That's one particular case. So then from there, basically we're flooded with investigators and detectives and also my housemate went to the hospital, obviously, and she was in a coma for months. Thankfully, she survived. But there are so many similarities to this, and I am in complete defense of Dylan because there's so much we just don't know. And these are trauma responses when someone freezes. We just finished 2 years of COVID. Seeing someone in a mask, you're not sure. I know it's probably a much different kind of a mask. It's a party house. I know personally, if there was a fraternity prank, sometimes we would kidnap, fraternity brothers, and they would kidnap one of us, like as pranks. You don't know if something like that is going on. And if you call the police and then you bust your friends and they get in trouble because you thought that it was something, greater and more horrific. But so besides all the variables that I think that we have in defense of her, in that situation, you just don't want it to be the worst case scenario. You don't know it. It's not your reality. And because I believe she passed. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you jump in.
No. But it's fascinating to hear this because as you're saying this, it's making sense because you have information about the crime, the attack on your roommate, yet you still went to sleep not realizing what it was until looking back on it and not even seeing the blood that was everywhere. I hope people are listening to you, and I hope people are watching now, because that's one thing I think a lot of us have been shocked by, is the attack on this surviving roommate. Difficult enough to be in the position she's in, and we don't know a lot. And my guess is it's something similar to what you experienced, but eventually we will find out. Alanna, is there anything else you need to add? Go ahead.
You know, just one other thing, and like, even if when you reread the affidavit and I was watching you, the words and the language are not alarming, right? It could go either way. When you say, it's okay, I'm here to help you, or there's someone here, these are phrases that are not alarming, that would say, oh, something awful is happening, let me call 911, right?
Absolutely. Alanna, really, I mean, fortunately, your roommate survived, you're okay, and it turned out that way for you guys, but I think it's extremely valuable when we look at these cases to not jump to judgment so quickly, especially for someone who's been through an extremely traumatic situation. Alanna, thanks so much.
She's going to have a lifetime of healing. Thanks for having me on, Vinnie.
Thank you so much. Really important stuff. All right. When we come back, folks, Chanley Painter still live in Moscow.